I'm Kimberly King, and today I'm joined by Jamie Tenaple Tyrone, and she has written an amazing book called Fighting for My Life, How to Thrive in the Shadow of Alzheimer's. And Jamie, thank you so much for being here. Let's talk a little bit about how you came to this book and your story.
Thank you for being here with me. So I decided to participate in a study that were testing genes and to see how would we react to it. And it was on the same experience that you would have if you were to go online with a direct-to-consumer market. And so one night I was by myself and I found out that I had 2 copies of a gene called the ApoE4 that put me at a 91% genetic risk of getting Alzheimer's disease.
Wow.
So having Alzheimer's on both sides of my family, I was not prepared to know this information. There was no genetic counseling during the informed consent process. So there wasn't the ability for me to ask questions during when you sign this consent. So you know how it's like when you go to download an app and it says, do you agree to these terms and conditions? You're like, oh, I want that app so bad, so bad. Shh. And you check it.
Right.
That's basically my experience. And so that's the experience that I'm hoping to help people through by writing this book.
Right, and you're right. Nobody really reads the fine print, do they? And
Not often. I mean, I receive telephone calls from people all the time or emails saying, "Gosh, I did not know. I didn't know exactly what I was getting into." And so, hopefully, this book. Not hopefully, it will guide you and help you understand what it is that you're getting into when you're embarking on deciding whether or not to know your genetic risk.
so tell me about those genetic risks. What was the information that you found out?
So again, I found out that I have a 91%. There's also other risks that are involved with Alzheimer's disease. So just because I may have this genetic risk doesn't mean I will get it, or someone who may not have this risk doesn't mean that they won't get it. So the risk in knowing is, do you really want to know this information and what it actually means? Are you going to change your lifestyle? Well, you can do that without knowing your genetic status. The question is are people aware of the downfalls regarding security, the fact that this information is being shared or sold to other entities? Do people know that there's a possibility you would be discriminated against for long-term care insurance, life insurance, disability insurance? And that isn't stuff that's really spoken about, but it's stuff that now I know my genetic status, I'm having to be concerned with. If I go to, if you know your genetic status and you go to your physician's office and you tell them, and it's in your medical record, it is now discoverable, which means if you do apply for these types of insurance policies, that they can go into your medical record. So these are all the things that you need to be concerned with. A huge thing is it going to cause you increased anxiety? I was diagnosed with PTSD. I really thought about whether or not I wanted to be here or not. And I received an email from a woman the other day who she said, "Thank you for writing this book because now I know I'm not alone and I feel just like you and I had the same experience."
Wow, Jamie. Wow.
And my heart bled for her because I knew how painful it was for her. And I know how painful it has been for other people. It's not a parlor game that you think it's fun to do. Ancestry is a little piece of it that may be entertaining. It's not necessarily 100%. But finding out that you have a risk for a disease that there is no prevention or cure is pretty anxiety provoking. It also should provoke some thought to go into it.
So you've written a roadmap, and thank you, and see what a difference you're making in other people's lives because you've put it out there and you have shown the risks, which a lot of people have swept under the rug.
Yes.
And you've called yourself a lab rat.
I do.
And that's bold. You've been very bold in all of this.
And thank you. And one of the things that I failed to mention that you just brought up about what are the positives in knowing. And one of them, and it's been very, very healing for me, is to be a research participant. Because I know that the first person cured of Alzheimer's disease is going to be a research participant. So I think it's very strategic when you talk about brain health and what you can do. I think participating in research, along with a lot of other things that I discussed here with my co-author, Dr. Sabah, that there is hope after knowing, but just be informed.
Excellent. Where can people get the book?
If you go to our landing page, www.fightingformylifebook.com, you will have the opportunity to find out what different outlets that you may purchase the book from.
Thank you for telling your story, Jamie, and thank you for making a difference. You will, and you have, and you're an amazing inspiration. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Jamie Tnaple Tyrone, and I've authored a book, Fighting for My Life, How to Thrive in the Shadow of Alzheimer's Disease. I wanted to share this with you today, my experience. The reason I wrote this book is that I took a genetic test that basically was the direct-to-consumer market, where you do everything online and you get your information back to you online without any genetic counseling, without any support at all. And it came back that I have a 91% lifetime risk of getting Alzheimer's disease. It was very anxiety-provoking. I was by myself. It was done without any genetic counseling. And I wanted to make sure that nobody would have to go through the experience that I went through in learning your genetic status. So I've written this book. It'll give you the pros, cons of knowing your genetic status, like possible discrimination, possible sharing of data and breaches. Yes, there are things that you can do, which is the positive inspirational piece on increasing brain health. And also, I've ended the book with information on participating in clinical trials. I am myself a lab rat, and I feel like this is probably the most important thing that I can do, because the first person that's cured of Alzheimer's disease will be a research participant. So I'm excited to share this book with you. Please follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and for me to continue on with my journey and to share it with you. And hope you find this an inspiration.